Hello, everybody. Thank you all for your patience as we get this session going. My name is Dr. J, founder and president of Learngenix. And today I'm going to talk to you about one of our partners, the Learning Battle Cards. I am truly excited about this because I'm really a big fan of the Learning Battle Cards, and we're going to talk to you about what that is and just like the name says, learning battle cards is a set of deck of cards. And let me show you what I mean by that. Let me pull these up. So they're a deck of cards like this, right? It comes. This is the second edition. Actually, this is the second edition. There's a first edition, but of course now we're into the second edition of the learning battle cards. There's 110 cards in there, right? In this deck, which is pretty cool. So you go to learningbattlecards.net, right? If you want to get a deck. But I'll talk to you more about that. And so there's this cool deck of cards, which I'll talk to you about what all those deck of cards is all about. So again, I'm Dr. J. I am an educator, researcher as well. I have been in education for a number of years. I've taught, and of course, instructional design as well. So I have experience in this in the field. And of course, as I talked about, I work along with Learning Battle Cards here. Learning Battle Cards is based out in Europe, but of course, here they're growing here in the US. And so, just to talk to you about what the Learning Battle Cards does is so the premise of this is just to get you a little glimpse of what the Learning Battle Cards is all about, how you can use the deck, and of course, get you to use the Learning Battle Cards. And yes, I do have a promo code that you can use for the Learning Battle Cards, but you'll need to contact me, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So, what the deck is all about, right? It's again, it's the basically like if you're playing like a poker size deck of cards, right? Basically describing various forms of learning, right? So it includes both traditional styles of learning, innovative forms of learning, and so it really does have. So, for example, podcast, right? Podcast is not a traditional way of learning, right? When we talk about traditional learning, we talk about lectures, we talk about discussions, right? That's traditional way, but this is kind of an innovative way of today of learning. Podcast is a way of learning now, and so it's funny because I just pulled it out, literally out of the deck of cards. And so it talks about the different ways that you can use this form of learning into any digital learning area, whether that's you're giving a workshop, whether that's the classroom. Any ways of learning, right? These learning battle card decks can help you formulate as to how you want to teach or how you want to use the particular style of it in the learning area. Of course, you'll see at the face of it, right? You'll see the acronym, the name, the icon, and the tag cloud as well. Each associated with each card, right? The tag cloud right here, as you see, is based on the wisdom of the crowd, or basically what the podcast is. So we talk about podcast. Think about what you associate podcasts with, right? And so you use audio, voice acting, listening, mobile, MP3, streaming, SoundCloud, right? Internet, right? Things of we think about it. So of course it has additional information as well about how you can use the of course the podcast if you that was one of them, right? The learning battle card method. I'm not going to get too much into detail about this. If you wanted to, we could definitely have a detailed workshop. We can work with the organization and having a detailed workshop. But in a sense, right, the learning battle card method, right, the goal of it is to expand the blended learning design mindset, right? Expand your educator's own tool set of methods, right? And open a mindset to different ways of engaging learning in the environment that you're in. One of the things is that we're in the 21st century, and there's different ways of learning, right? It's not always the traditional way of having the learner sit and then the educator or the instructor or whatever it may be just say the information on a lecture base, right? Things have changed over time, right? There's different ways of learning, and what the learning battle cards will be able to help you with is like, okay, how do I engage with these set of learners, right? Whether that's K-12, whether that's college, whether that's, corporate, whatever it may be, or whether it's truck drivers or mechanic, diesel mechanics, whatever it may be, right? These learning battle cards, as an instruction designer or instructor, will definitely help you figure out ways of, okay, how can I engage my learners, in an effective way, right? How can I do that? And definitely, again, there's 110 cards in here, so there's definitely a method out there for almost basically every situation that you're teaching in, right? Whether, again, face to face, online, asynchronous, synchronous, whatever it may be. One of the things that the learning battle card does, of course, you have learning experiences approach, right? Sorry, I got cut off because of my logo here, but we're creating learning experiences for learners, right? We're creating these experiences, and the learning battle cards is definitely going to help you do that, right? Um, and so here are some examples of learning experiences, right? Again, all these things right here, you see these icons are part of course, that can help you with the experiences, some of the learning experiences that we have that you probably deal with, right? So, for example, a case study or community of experience, integration, right? How definitely can you apply these learning experiences using these cards? So let's look at just an example, of course, of an anatomy of the learning battlefield card. So let's look at this one right here. You can see the symbol at the well, mine here, right at the corner, right. Then, of course, what's the name of the method, right? And of course, the icon is a graphic symbol of what it symbolizes. Again, we talked about the tag cloud, words associated with that particular method, right? And so for example, I'm holding up a project-based learning one, and of course, we think about project-based learning. We think about team. We talk about collaboration. Think about experiences, problem solving, practice, challenge. And so, in the back of the card, right, it has, again, the symbol, the method, how its usefulness. You can see here, how is this useful, right? Talking about awareness, we're talking about skills, right? The recommendation of using this method at different key areas of the project, the learning design project. So how would you use this, right? Are we using skills? Are we using attitudes, awareness? And of course, looking at specifics, is this synchronous, asynchronous, right? The place of the method, typically categorized as used in education. Again, this is just recommendations. If you believe that a card, like, for example, let's look at project-based learning. Basically, all of them are highlighted because you can use specifics. But if there's, for example, if synchronous wasn't highlighted and you believe that synchronous is part of project-based learning, well, then, of course, you use it how you feel best. Um, One of the cool things about these cards in the second edition compared to the first edition is it has a QR code now. So the QR code is a link to additional knowledge about that method. So the cool thing about this, let's say, for example, you are an instructional designer and you're working with a group of subject matter experts. When you pull out the card, right, and they want to learn more about project-based learning, they can scan the QR code and learn more about that method if they want to know about that, right? Because you, as an instructional designer, probably know a lot about project-based learning, but the subject matter expert may like, okay, let me find out more about project-based learning, right? Then, of course, the power bars at the bottom, little power bars kind of looks like those video games, like how much power do I have in my character, right? It's basically it's parameters which show the power of the card to the practical areas. Of course, this is not the end all be all, right? Don't think like this card is going to define everything about this particular method, right? These cards are based on experiences from folks out in the field, right? So this is from their experiences as to how they see fit of the power bars. So of course, even more inspirations from each card. Again, movies, right? If you believe that movies should be part of your learning experiences, right? Um, you can use it, and then this is just some inspiration from the card, right? If you're gonna use movies as part of your learning experiences, and whatever it may be, right? There's some ways that you can, like, if you can have your learners, ask learners to make a movie. Make an interactive movie. Ask learners to find examples of particular subject or topic in the movies. Tell the story in the movie form, right? Nothing is more better, especially like if you're dealing with like I always feel experiences like with K-12 students, like when you make it interactive. Not that I'm saying that adults can't either, but when you explain it in a movie format, at times when it's something that you need to explain them, like they get more engaged for some reason, especially if it's a movie that they can relate to and they know about, right? Of course, you just have to know who your audience is, right? That's what I would suggest. Um, the learning battle cards in action, right? Typical cards you can do with, right? So some of the things that you can do with the learning battle cards is again you can choose. Let's say for example, let's choose a card. Oh, mind mapping, right? Let's just choose this card for example. Um, like look for aspiration inspiration for a given project. So say again, you'll have to know who your learners are, what you're doing it for, whether it's a class, a workshop, presentation, right? Again, and you can use this card to discuss the learning and development project with the stakeholders or the client. Like, okay, let's say for example, you're working on a project for a new. Let's say for example, you're working on a new course. You're the instruction designer and you're working with the subject matter expert or experts. You can use this, like for example, be like, hey, let's use. Are we going to use mind mapping? Maybe we want to use a focus group or observe, or, an ebook into it. Maybe work a lecture, right? You pull out the three cards because these are the three methods that we're potentially going to be able to use. You're going to use in the class in the new one, right? And of course, you can look at these cards and look at the ways that, of course, it's going to be effective in the classroom. And of course, get the subject matter expert or the stakeholder, get them educated as to how maybe an ebook will work best for the classroom, right? And you can see how, it's going to, the power bars in it. Like, is this going to be an effort? How much production time is it going to take? Um, learning powerness of it. So this is just an example of ways that you can use the learning battle cards with the stakeholders or individuals involved here. I'm just going to kind of quickly take you through one ways that you can use the learning battle cards as to how you can use it with a group of people. Of course, this is with a group of people, at least 3 or 4 individuals. You'll need a set of deck of cards and, of course, a flip chart. And in this exercise, you're going to focus on new paths to enrich an existing or in a being design project with new ideas, methods, tools, and activities. It'll probably be great to take an existing, like let's say, for example, existing course, and then you'll want to use these cards as to finding new ways, ideas, or methods or tools to enhance that class, right? Whether it's synchronous or asynchronous, whatever it may be, and you go through this process, right? Um, Again, you can look at the process as to how it would go. And again, this is just an example of one how you can do it. And again, you're engaging the individuals, and you can have this set of deck of cards. If you have a group of people, like you can use a deck of cards per team, and a team would be 3 to 4 individuals. Um, so they can peruse through the cards. Probably best that each individual has their own set of cards, but that'll probably be the ideal format. But of course, 3 people can use one deck of cards, but that would probably 3 or 4, but that would probably be the max, right? If you have a group of 20 people doing this, I would suggest you probably get more than one deck of cards because just to spread out and get people involved, because you don't want somebody just hogging the entire cards. You want people to be interactive. So again, you can peruse through all these cards and see what's best. Again, all of the cards going to be used in one class? No, right? You're not going to use 110 different methods in one particular class. That's just ridiculous. But you can maybe pick 1, 2, 3, right? But just depending on how many you want to use in the class. So next steps to do this, right? If you want a set, let's Learngenix there. Sorry, the misspelling there. So definitely reach out to me at Learngenix. Uh, so it's learngenix.com. and reach out. So that's the website. That's Learngenix. Of course, if you want to check out the Learning Battle Cards, you can check out learningbattlecards.net. You can reach out to me via email if you would like like the promotion code for a discount on the Learning Battle Cards. Definitely would like to connect with you to see if to use the learning battle cards in your next session, or we could do a webinar, event in person using the learning battle cards. So definitely reach out. More than happy to connect, but definitely reach out to me. My email, j@learngenix.com, so we can get started with the learning battle cards. So I appreciate your time. Again, check out www.learngenix.com. If you want also learningbattlecards.net, there is a PDF file as well you can download to check out what the Learning Battle Cards is about. Before you make your purchase of your Learning Battle Cards, please email me so you can get that discount code. Of course, the more cards, the more you make a purchase. Of course, the deeper we can get a good price for you. So definitely check that out. Thank you very much, and I look forward to connecting with you.